Hi guys, and welcome to Fleetwood Patch. My name is Jeremy. If you have not done so already, please hit that like and subscribe button in the corner there. Also, you can reach out to us on Facebook and Instagram at Fleetwood Patch. Also, our email, which is fleetwoodpatch@gmail.com. Hope you all are having a great week. Today, wanted to talk about we're almost done with 2020 right now, so I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about what's coming up for 2021 and some of the trends that they're talking about that are going to be coming up soon. So let's get into it. Okay, so I'm online here. I'm actually looking at the top 10 garden trends that they're showing for 2021. And this is actually pretty interesting looking at this. The number one gardening trend for 2021 that they're expecting is raised garden beds. What does that tell you? That tells me people are starting to take gardening a little bit more seriously. This is something that people definitely want to do. Unusual herbs. Now, when I think of unusual, I mean, obviously you have basils, which are pretty usual, but what about something like lemon balm or oregano, something that's not as typical as you'd see in a garden, but have tons of uses? I would definitely look into that if I were you, as far as what herbs you can grow. Number 3, bee-friendly plants. Whoa, that's awesome. That is good to hear. I will say this, be careful in the spring when you do get your flowers. Think about where you're getting them from. There are some of them that are grown that put a chemical on it, and I didn't realize this, that can actually kill honeybees. So be really careful where you're getting your flowers for pollinating. Make sure it's bee safe. There should be a tag on the outside that actually says that it's bee safe, but that's awesome. I mean, there's always good pollinating plants that you could put out there. Two of them that come to mind right now: echinacea, or the coneflower, which is absolutely gorgeous. It will become a bee magnet. You'll definitely attract pollinators into your garden. Okay. Second one I think of as far as flowers is chamomile. And there's a lot of uses for that. I mean, you're talking about pretty little white flowers that you can pick and dry those up, and you can make your own tea out of that stuff. So, I mean, gardening doesn't have to be a dirty looking process. I mean, you can have plants that are very ornamental, very aesthetically pleasing to the eye. Is that a word? Aesthetically? Yeah, I think so. Pleasing to the eye, and still has its uses as well. So we go down here, it says red meaty fruit. I'm only assuming they're talking about tomatoes. Red meaty fruit. I can't think of anything else other than that. Ornamental cabbage. That's interesting. I've never thought about an ornamental cabbage. I don't know if that means it's edible or if it's not edible or what that means, but we grew cabbage a couple of years ago, and it turned out really well in our climate. I was pretty surprised how well it actually did. We did, we also did broccoli. We also did cauliflower. All of those look awesome in the garden, in my opinion. Vertical gardening. Guys, this is a big one. Growing straight up. I mean, that's awesome. get those towers where you can do the strawberries, or plant in a pot and get some kind of trellis, like a teepee trellis. Get some snap peas in there and they'll grow straight up. And you want to talk about one way to get kids interested in gardening, show them snap peas. See if you can get them to actually eat some. I know sometimes it's like pulling teeth trying to get them to try a raw vegetable, let alone just a vegetable, but give it a try. And then they talk about things like aquaponics and natural pest control with benefits, which, that's all something that we can strive towards for 2021. So I think in light of COVID, everything that's gone on over the past year, people have really taken a different look at gardening. We're slowly shifting to that point where we're not as concerned about having such a green lawn and our hedges trimmed perfectly and keeping up with the Joneses down the street. We're kind of getting to the point where we just don't care. We want to have our own space. We want to grow our own food, which is awesome. There's a couple of things that I found online today that were pretty good. This is a research firm out in Scarsboro. They said out of 164 million homeowners, they estimate that 49% gardened within the last 12 months. Now, you can take that for what it's worth. I mean, yeah, they're gardening out there, but are they growing food? Or are they growing just flowers and they like to go out and take a look at what they got? And if you do that, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You're creating your own oasis. I mean, it's beautiful to walk out and look at, which is fine. Gardening homeowners are 26% more likely to buy locally grown food. That's good. I like that. And the reason that is good is because people are starting to get more educated about what's in my food, who's growing my food, what are they doing to grow my food, are they using pesticides, are they using fertilizer, what are they doing to grow my food, what am I putting in my body? That's awesome. And then they went over a couple stats for 2021. They're projecting more homegrown food. We all know that, going to the seed store. More vibrant backyard habitats. That one I kind of had to think on for a little bit, but if you're spending more time in your backyard, you want it to be a place that is comforting to you when you go out and you look at it. So people are starting to create their own little habitat out there, not only for birds and for whatever out there, but for themselves. They want something that is welcoming when they go out there. DIY, gardening DIY views on YouTube, and some of you that have your channels on here, this is no surprise to you. The views on DIY gardening have absolutely skyrocketed this year on YouTube. What does that mean, guys? That means more and more people are starting to go on going, what do I need to do to get a garden going? More and more people are thinking about it, which is awesome. Again, I have no beef against people that want to just grow grass. But I will say this, it's a waste of water and time to try to keep that up. Personally, me, I would much rather go out there, and I have, throw a bunch of clover seed down that doesn't take as much water. I got food for my chickens out there. Those things are going to bloom. You're going to attract more pollinators, and it's not going to take as much water. So there's, again, not knocking the grass, people. I swear I'm not. But I think it is good to look at other alternatives as well. Doesn't have to look like a golf course all the time. Okay, and then they got into the 3 trends that they really expect to grow over 2021. And the 3 are balcony gardening, which, a lot of us that are homeowners or have our own homesteads and stuff like that, we tend to forget that there's a lot of you guys out there that are renting right now, and you're in an apartment, and you don't have a lot of land. You don't have land to grow anything. So you're starting to think of things that you can do instead of complaining about not having a garden. So balcony gardening, that's awesome. Look into that. Man, I might want to do a video on that at some point just to kind of give you ideas, but there's a lot of stuff you can do with that. Second thing is inside growing. And what that means is basically you got grow lights, something that's going to help that plant photosynthesize, basically. And we've experimented with that. I mean, on our back kitchen counter, we actually have 3 different types of herbs that are growing right now. And we have a grow light over top of that. If you go back in the videos a little bit there, I actually have a video on growing inside. So yeah, I mean, even though it's wintertime and we can't go outside, that doesn't mean we can't grow anything. There are options to look at if you want to do that. And the third one is permaculture gardening. Guys, we definitely have leaned towards that, us personally as gardeners, my wife and I. And going on our garden tour out to a Hava farm, reading up on what it takes to have compost break down and just how beneficial it is, what it does for the soil by breaking up all that hard soil, moisture retention, feeding the plants naturally. I mean, it's just, it's been huge. It's been life-changing. So I'm really glad to see that that's going to be a huge trend that they're expecting to grow in 2021. I also wanted to talk to you guys a little bit today about victory gardens. Now, those of you who are kind of unsure what a victory garden is, if you go back in time around World War I, World War II, this is basically something where the government kind of encouraged people to plant their own gardens, to grow their own food. It put less strains on the food factories. They considered it a big morale boost. Even back then, they considered going outside, planting a garden, and being out in that sunshine as a big morale boost, you know. Keeping you mentally fit, how about that? It reduced pressure on the public food supply. Have we dealt with that within the past year, you think? On some level? How many times did you go into a grocery store this year looking for something simple like flour, or maybe just down the soup aisle or something, even bread yeast, and all of a sudden, wiped out. Everything's wiped out. So have we had pressure on the public food supply? I'd say in some cases, yeah, we definitely have. So what am I getting at? I think it is time in 2021 that we really start doing a big push for the comeback of the victory garden. Now, this is something we've already talked about before. I wanted to bring it up again. Why do we want that garden out there? Well, food, for one, obviously. We want to take care of ourselves out there. We want a spot to go that's our haven. We want a spot to go where we feel like we're actually creating something, we're doing something. It's no fun sitting inside and just watching the world go by. I like to be out in it. I like to make sure that I'm doing whatever I can to make sure that my crops that I'm growing are going to be plentiful, and it's something that I can use. Now, is it going to be something that I have to grow these crops or my family doesn't eat? No. Is it something that I can do to grow and not have to worry about buying as much at the grocery store down the road? Absolutely. So think about that. I would definitely say victory gardens are going to make a huge comeback in 2021. You can quote me on that. I do think it is going to happen. I think more and more people are starting to look at what they can do out in the community. I think they're starting to look at what they can do even in their own backyard. And I just think it's a good idea. It's been a great idea since World War I and World War II. I think they really were onto something when they brought that up. So what do I want to grow in my victory garden? Well, there's a lot of things you can grow, obviously, but when it comes to your own personalized garden, food for you, I would say the number one tip, grow what you know you're going to eat, okay? I'm going to say that again. Grow what you know you're going to eat. Now, I know that sounds like a no-brainer, but there have been years where I have grown things, okay? I have grown them, and I harvested them. I brought them inside. I'm like, oh, yeah, we'll definitely eat these. We'll eat these. And guess what? They sat around, and they rotted. Why? Because it turned out to be something that we weren't going to really eat. We weren't really all that interested in. So think about what you definitely want to eat, what you want to make. Obviously, if you want to do salsas, tomatoes are a must. Onions are a great one. Potatoes are a great one. They're staple foods. They're great to grow. They're beautiful to look at when they start blooming. They're awesome. Corn, you can look at corn too. But just look at what you know you're going to be able to put on your plate, what you're going to consume, what your family's going to consume. And lastly, why do we want to do a victory garden? Because this virus is not going to last forever. We're going to kick this thing in the butt. And we're going to come out of this stronger. And even though it may not be a wartime thing like World War I, World War II type stuff, we're under very hard times right now. And I think this is a great way to get the community back outside and to take control of what they can create, what they can grow, the foods that they're putting in their body. Guys, know that coronavirus will be gone at some point. I don't know when. It might be in 2021. It might not. I really don't know. But what I do know is I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing out there. I'm going to keep planning. I'm going to keep growing. I'm going to keep prepping. And I'm going to enjoy what I'm doing. I hope you do too. Thanks for stopping by, guys, and hope to see you again soon. God bless.